All right, little bonus video for you today. Today, I'm going to be recapping the stuff that we just got revealed to us at the Transformers section of the Hasbro Pulse Con 2023 panel. Yeah, this has been an event I've been really excited about. We kind of knew a lot of the stuff that was going to be revealed through like leaked listings and stuff like that, and it is mostly accurate to, those leaked listings that showed us what was going to be in the first wave of the new legacy line. But it's always awesome to see things actually like, how they actually turned out. And I gotta tell you, it all looks pretty good to me. So yeah, we got our reveal that the next, we've been seeing this on the leaked listings, these legacy uni for a while, and people were like, oh, is that Unity or Unicron or Universe or United? And it is in fact Legacy United, which we actually got revealed a little bit earlier in the week when we got, I think it was Screen Rant revealed the two of the figures that we'll be talking about for this. So we did see a couple of these guys beforehand, but again, for the most part, a lot of this was pretty new. I mean, we kind of knew what was coming just through those leaked listings, but only two of these were actually figures that we'd seen shown off before, which, really, really is nice because, like, for a while, Hasbro was having a problem where, like, the figures would get leaked out, like, weeks or months in advance, and then they reveal it, and it's just like, yep, you already saw it, but here it is. Here's us talking about it. And it's nice to see that most of this was actually shown off beforehand, or wasn't actually shown off beforehand, I guess I should say. So yeah, let's get into it. Now we did start off by seeing the poster, and I do want to talk about that, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later and just get into talking about the figures that we got revealed. So starting off with the core class, the first one that they showed off, again, accurate to the leaked listings there. The first one that they showed off is a core class Energon Universe Megatron. And yeah, this figure looks really good. I got a lot of love for that Energon Megatron figure. Obviously, this is not an in-scale version. This is just a little core class version, but it looks pretty accurate to the old toy with, a little bit more sophisticated, I guess, articulation, just in terms of like having ball joints and stuff instead of like stiff ratchets where you are kind of locked between two very rigid poses. I love that toy, but it's big, it's chunky, but it's also kind of a brick. Like even the joints that it has, it doesn't really use super well to actually be able to pose. So yeah, this looks super great. I don't know if I'm gonna pick this up day one, just because I really don't tend to prioritize like a ton of stuff that I wouldn't consider going into my like quote unquote like canon or definitive display. But it looks really good. It might be one that I pick up down the line, maybe like, kind of when I'm in a bit of a lull and I haven't bought anything recently, then maybe I'll pop by the store and see if they've got this guy in stock here, because it does look super cool, but it's probably not something I'm going to go out of my way to get like right away. But cheap figure, looks really good, looks good in both modes, pretty exciting. All right, the next one that they showed off is one that again I've been kind of excited about for a while, and I've got to say I'm a little bit disappointed to see how they decided to do it. The next one is basically a Beast Wars the second universe. I don't know if they actually call it. I think they just call it Beast Wars universe, but Tasmanian Kid, or as Tasmanian Kid over here in the States was just Snarl, which was not a character that had like a ton of like media presence or anything, but when they did Beast Wars the second, they took that Snarl toy basically unchanged, and that was Tasmanian Kid. So you can call it either one, but the character from fiction that they're really homaging is Tasmanian Kid. And yeah, I was excited for this figure because, Snarl was always one of those old Beast Wars toys that I never had, and I never really wanted to get it just because it looked like, oh, it's got this big tail weapon, it doesn't have anywhere for you to put it in robot mode, and that kind of turned me off to it. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should pick that one up and check it out. And then I saw the leaked listings that they were doing Tasmanian Kid, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just wait for that. And it does look really good. It looks very accurate to Beast Wars the second. The issue I have with it, if you're familiar at all with my preferences on this channel, I think you'll see this coming from a mile away. But I don't like that they cheated to get the chest plate to be the bottom of the Tasmanian Devil jaw. I don't know. I mean, I kind of get why, just because, like, oh, they want the head in beast mode to be proportionally a little bit smaller, so obviously the bottom jaw would not fill an entire robot's chest. I can deal with it, but it does. I was a little bit bummed out when I saw that. Initially, I was thinking that I'd seen some speculation online that they might be doing like a retool of the core class Rat Trap from Kingdom, and I thought that that would be a really good way to do it. Just retool the head section so maybe the top of the head just goes on the back, and then the bottom jaw stays on the chest. Which, granted, wouldn't have the signature sort of like head of the Tasmanian Devil feet, but I would have been okay with that. And then it was just like a new head sculpt. But I mean, it is cool to see it as a new mold. But yeah, I was definitely disappointed to see the cheating there. But yeah, no, I mean, otherwise the head sculpt looks really good. Tasmanian Devil looks fine. I mean, it's a little bit awkward, but it's kind of an awkward creature to make a beast mode out of. So I don't really blame them too much for that. Looks good. The cheating thing is mostly a hang up that I have. I think objectively, I think it looks like a pretty solid figure, but wish that they'd maybe done it a little bit differently. But I'll still probably pick this one up. And then last but not least, for the core class figures here, kind of transitioning into the deluxes here, we'd seen these leaked listings for a long time of like these rocks or whatever on that. I was kind of surprised also that they sort of acknowledged the leaked out listings, because usually they kind of don't. And it was funny at one point in the stream, Evan even went like, "Oh, we're acknowledging that, okay," and that got a good laugh out of me, because that's also what I was thinking. I was like, "Oh, you're just straight up acknowledging the fact that things have been leaked out beforehand." Usually they kind of like skirt around the issue, but whatever, it's reality. Everyone kind of knows about it who's kind of following this stuff. But yeah, we got our first rock figure, which some interesting stuff here, because I think everyone, when they were speculating, I was kind of thinking like, oh, are they doing rock lords? Like, I think it was always pretty clear that this was going to be the new sort of like weaponizer, fossilizer type play pattern, just because it's like, oh, you'll pick an obscure thing, you can do a bunch of characters. There was a bunch of these guys, these rocks in these leaked listings. But I was like, are they doing rock lords? Because they very, very seldom like really do like hard references to like the Hanna-Barbera GoBots, because they've owned that for a while, so they definitely would be well within their rights to make like new versions of GoBots characters. But they kind of don't. I'm sure there's some like legal issues there with like portraying the characters, and there's probably some messy stuff with like Machine Robo too, because I think that's like kind of still going on in Japan. So it's similar to the whole like Macross issue with Jetfire, and why they can't make a toy that looks super accurate to the G1 Jetfire, because like Macross is owned by a different company, so they can't do stuff like that. So I was a little surprised to see like, oh, maybe they'll be actually doing some GoBot stuff with the Rock Lords. And if you know me, I love Rock Lord, so I was super excited about that. And it does have a little bit of that flavor, but it's not quite that. Because, like, especially when we saw the leaked listings, it was like, oh, the first two that we're getting is Boulder Crash and Magnus. And I was like, oh, is that just like new names for Boulder and Magmar? Because, like, obviously they can't make one called Magmar since Pokemon has been a thing since then. And I was like, oh, why would Boulder be a core class one? Because he's kind of the same size as Magmar in the original like GoBots and Rock Lords continuity. But no, they're kind of just like totally wholesale new characters, which I'm totally fine with. I think they look super cool. They don't quite turn into like rocks proper. They kind of turn into like rocky vehicles. So Boulder Crash is the core class one, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. I love the like shade of red. It looks like they're kind of doing a sort of like mixing different shades of plastic pearlescent thing that they did, especially in like they did it a lot in Beast Hunters from Transformers Prime. It's kind of hard to tell how much of that is like painted detail and how much of it is like actually that going on, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. And again, the original Rock Lords line did a lot of that as well, so I think that's a super cool effect. But yeah, Boulder Crash here turns into a little like rocky like bike type thing, tricycle, and it's a cool alt mode. It's a little bit abstract, but I think it looks good. I think the robot mode looks really good. I think it's a really nice design, and definitely a bit of like asymmetry going on there, which I really appreciate, because it's like these are supposed to be kind of like rocky creatures. And they mentioned a couple different things that I thought were kind of interesting. They said that this was from the like how they do the different X universe characters in the Legacy line. This is from the Infernac universe, and I had to look up what that was, because they did mention later that this is like a reference to Inhumanoids, which was another Hasbro brand back in the day, which honestly I don't know a ton about. Like I'm familiar with Inhumanoids, but I never followed any of the like fiction or anything from it. But I was looking up Infernac, and it is, I don't know if it's like a planet of rock people or if it's like a species or something, but there was I was looking through a Wikipedia article, and there is some mention of Infernac, and then there's also these granite guys, which there is an Inhumanoids figure that is basically just like a rock guy. So it's kind of like a soft reference to that. And then they also talked about an episode of the Japanese G1 Headmasters cartoon where Daniel and Six Shot get stranded on some planet. They said Daria, but in the Wikipedia article for this, it definitely says like Daira. So I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. And again, it was in Headmasters, which never got a dub as well. So it's like, who knows what the Americanized version of it was supposed to be. But either way, it was like kind of a barren planet, and they got attacked by these rock creatures, which, to the best of my knowledge, didn't transform or anything, but they did like do a big combined mode. And they mentioned that in the stream. So I'm like, maybe they're trying to like, have like another combiner here, like they did with the fossilizers or even like the core class Dinobots. They also did mention that Boulder Crash has like a weapon mode for bigger figures, but they didn't really show that off. And looking at the robot mode, it does have like this big gun barrel just like jutting off its back, which is probably my least favorite part of the design, because it looks like it's actually like part of his back, not something that could be like taken off or hinged away. But whatever. Either way, I think that this figure looks super cool. And then, like they did, transitioning onto the deluxe Rock Lord, we've got Magnius, who I was looking at this guy and I'm getting Granite vibes. This definitely looks like Granite, who's my favorite Rock Lord. Obviously a bit different. Honestly, it's mostly just that he's a gray rock man, and it's kind of a similar shade of gray. And then he's got kind of like a section on his chest that where the wheels for his vehicle mode are that, kind of gives the same vibe for like the sliding mechanism on the chest of the original Granite. It doesn't really look like it's a hard and fast reference, but I saw that and I was like, yes, Granite. But yeah, no, he turns into this awesome looking like rocky truck. Definitely feels like it has kind of the like scrap hook vibes in terms of like the truck mode, but instead of being all Mad Maxy and decrepit, it's made out of rocks, which is a really cool idea. I think probably I would have maybe preferred that these guys go with a more traditional like just transform into straight up rocks mode, just to be more of a reference to rock lords. But I can appreciate that like as a toy it's more fun to have things that you can actually like roll around, and they are pretty cool looking vehicle modes. But yeah, no, I think this guy looks super good. All the texture and stuff, like again, like a lot of asymmetry on there with the like the rocky molding, and I think I'm really excited about this figure. I think it looks super good. And they always look a little bit better in the official reveals and product photography than they end up looking like in plastic in person. But still, I think it looks fantastic, and I'm super excited about these rock guys going forward. But yeah, that's for the first deluxe. Just to kind of quickly go over it, because again, this was another one that we saw revealed earlier in the week with that Screen Rant post. And we saw it even before that. It was like, I think maybe kind of leaked out a little bit before that. This is the one figure, well, two figures that we've actually seen beforehand, and this is Animated Universe Bumblebee for the second deluxe here. And yeah, this looks really good. I probably am gonna skip these guys for now, both him and the Animated Optimus that we also saw later. I mean, I think both look good. I just don't necessarily feel like I need them in my collection. I've got enough Bumblebees, I've got enough Optimuses. These are probably going to be figures that I'm like, okay, if it ever goes on sale, then maybe I'll kind of dip into this. But I think that especially the Optimus looks really good, which I guess going kind of out of order here, but just to talk about them kind of at the same time, just because, they were both revealed like a couple days ago by Screen Rant. And yeah, I mean, I think that they both look really good. It's nice to see that they're sticking a little bit more true design-wise to like the faces of the animated characters. I really liked how they did the Animated Universe Prowl, and these guys definitely look a little bit more cartoony than that, like a little bit less like Generations-ified. But definitely I think that this isn't a better approach than those like early Transformers Prime characters that they did in Legacy, which just like felt like they just like took away all the fun detail from them and just made them kind of generic looking. These I think are a lot more close to what people would want, and I do appreciate that they're trying to make it kind of more like able to fit in line with like other generations figures, because that's personally what I prefer. I just I don't need a Generations animated Bumblebee myself, because I've got a regular G1 Bumblebee, I've got a G1 Optimus, I've got enough Optimuses, enough Bumblebees. So I'll probably, these are probably the two that I'm gonna skip on, at least for now. But they do both look really good. And it's funny they actually mentioned this, because I was thinking about it before they were talking about it with the animated Optimus, how they like They tried to adapt the way his truck mode was in the show, and like in animated, it was like they drew the Optimus truck, and it was just like, hey, whoever designed this, have you ever seen a semi truck before? Because it has to have wheels in the front for it to actually function. You know, the original animated Optimus only has four wheels, despite being a, you know, like a typical kind of six-wheeled tractor trailer. But he just like doesn't have front wheels, so it's kind of like really, you know, front heavy in terms of like the cab is just floating over the ground, which I think has always looked really funny in the animated show. And they tried to replicate that by basically putting, you know, this has six wheels, the two front wheels are kind of like hidden underneath, so it's like, oh, he has got six wheels, but it kind of like at a glance looks like it's just balancing on the back four wheels like the animated design, which I thought was a really clever sort of way to do that, to like make it look like a vehicle that could actually function but also keep that flavor from how it looked in the animated cartoon. It's funny to me. I really appreciate that just as a thought process for the design. But yeah, that's pretty much all to say about these guys. I kind of jumped into the Voyagers there a little bit, but we do have two more deluxes to look at. First off is Rescue Bots Universe Chase, and wow, this figure looks really good. I'm really excited about this. You know, I've never really dipped into Rescue Bots. I've always kind of like kept it on the back burner just because I, you know, I'm not the demographic for it. I've always kind of figured like, oh, maybe one day when I have kids, then I can watch Rescue Bots with them, so we'll be like experiencing it at the same time. Because like I've watched an episode here or there, but you know, it's really like more of a kiddie show as it's supposed to be. That's not really a criticism of it. But yeah, no, just looking at the design of Chase, like this looks really, really nice. Again, a nice Generations-ish version of this character, having, you know, more like Generations proportions, but I think they got a good blend there on the head sculpt of making it look like the actual like show design, but then also like the like, you know, the rest, like it could fit in with the rest of the Generations figures. And yeah, not a ton else to say about it. I just think it looks really good. But yeah, they did mention that they like BMAC mentioned that he was really excited about something that this mold is going to be turned into like later in the year in 2024. And I was trying to figure out what that could possibly be, because I was definitely getting like some vibes from like the back kibble there and how, but I can't really pin down what it is. It will probably come to me after I actually film this video, so I'll just leave it at that for now. And the last deluxe is a new Windblade. Finally, it's nice to see her back again. It's been a while since we've had a Windblade, and like Windblade is one of those characters. I mean, you know, she's a fairly new character, but they really haven't nailed a good toy of her yet. And this one still doesn't look like perfect. Like it looks a little bit too similar, in my opinion, to the Cyberverse toys, which, you know, makes sense because this is a Cyberverse universe Windblade as opposed to like the comic universe of her, which is more what that original Generations toy was kind of based after, or a like RID 2015 version of her. They're all pretty ubiquitous. Like most of the designs for Windblade are pretty similar. But yeah, you know, I don't think this looks amazing. I think it looks good. It's probably going to be the best version of Windblade we've had so far. But if you've had any other Windblade toys, you know that that's not an extremely high bar. Like that original Generations figure looks really good, but it is kind of a mess in terms of like posing it and getting it to stand on the shelf. It's not a lot of fun to handle. And yeah, no, this looks really good. I think that the jet mode looks okay, and the robot mode looks pretty good. I'm a little bummed to see that the sword blade is more of like a blast effect flame type thing rather than you know, the more traditional like swoopy kind of like blade that Windblade has, especially since she definitely has an accessory that looks exactly like the original Generations toy, like in the Cyberverse cartoon, which is what this one is based off of. The reason they did it that way so that when you store the weapon in vehicle mode, it kind of gives like an exhaust plume off the back of the jet there, which is a neat idea. I'm kind of wondering like how detachable that is, like if you actually have to take the whole sword out to not have that effect on, or if the blade itself can plug into the hilt, especially since in Cyberverse she did usually just carry around the hilt and then like the blade would, like, you know, energon style like morph out of it. So it'd be cool to see if that's actually detachable, so you could have the weapon, you know, stored without actually having the blast effect part on there. I'm kind of interested to see that. It's not really a deal breaker either way. It looks good. I think it is a good looking figure. It's just probably the one I'm maybe least excited about. Well, of the stuff I'm getting. I mean, I'm gonna get this figure, and I'm probably not gonna get the animated Bumblebee. So I guess I'm a little bit more excited about it than that one. But still, you know, I think of the new stuff that we haven't already seen, this one I was a little bit underwhelmed by. But you know, I think it still looks good overall. And then, yeah, getting on into the Voyagers. Like I said, we already talked about that animated Optimus, so I'll skip that. And then the other Voyager we saw is a new version of Transformers Prime Thundertron. And wow, this figure looks really good. I think a lot of people, myself included, were assuming that Thundertron was going to be kind of just like a half-baked retool of Leo Prime, just because like what else do you do with that besides like a Nemesis Leo Prime? And no, yeah, this is a wholesale new figure, and it looks really accurate to that original toy, which I think is super exciting. Like it literally looks like it has the same transformation scheme, just with like a couple, you know, like alters here and there, and then obviously, more of a emphasis on like posability and stuff like that, and it looks really good. It's a really really nice looking figure. I was thinking initially that I wasn't necessarily going to pick this one up, just like after seeing the leaked listings again, because that original Prime figure is so good. I didn't necessarily feel like it needed an update, but this looks really good, and I'm probably going to pick it up. But yeah, I'm excited to compare this with the old one because that's a really great figure, and this looks like it kind of keeps all the best parts of that one. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. And they did say, even though they didn't show it off, they did say that the right foot is detachable, so you can give him the peg leg and then attach the claw to his sword, which is a really really cool thing. And I'm glad that they did that, because you gotta have our pirate with the peg leg. That's like one of the coolest things about the original Thundertron figure. But yeah, no, it looks really good. It looks like there's a decent amount of posability in the lion mode too. They even mentioned how it has a lot of similarities to Zoids and Liger Zero, which I appreciated because I've always loved the Liger Zero design from Zoids. So that was cool to see that shouted out. But yeah, no, cool looking figure. And then to get into the leader classes, we do have a package refresh of the Laser Prime. So if you missed that the first time, there's another opportunity to get it. Not like you've had any shortage of opportunities to get versions of that mold. But yeah, the new one, which is again, this is one that I've been excited about ever since I saw it in the leaked listings, and it's not disappointing. We got leader class Tiger Hawk finally filling out more of that Beast Wars cast, and wowza, this looks so good. It looks like, again, both with him and Thundertron, they look so accurate to not just like the cartoons, not that Thundertron had a cartoon model, but also the original toys, which is really cool to see with Tigerhawk, because like he did have a bit of difference in terms of like the way his toy looked and the way his show looked. Like they did opt to go with the purple here, which is more show accurate to Beast Wars as opposed to the blue. And I'm kind of fine with that. I would have been fine with it either way, honestly. But yeah, no, it looks like a lot of the transformation scheme seems the same. Like the arms are still, underneath like that. It still has the big like extra fake claws that flip out of the legs, so that the feet are like the little claw feet, and then the beast mode claws are like these bigger claws. I could have done without that, honestly, but still, it's cool to see that as a reference to the original figure. Instead of the ejectable missiles, he's now just got like the feathers that you can like unpeg from the wings to have him hold them as weapons, which is really cool to see. I think it looks great, and I'm really, really excited about this figure. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the toy reveals. They did kind of do a thing where they went over that RoboSen Grimlock again and kind of talked about it as if it was a new reveal, even though we've seen that for months and it was officially revealed a while ago. Looks cool. Not gonna get it. There's a on Hasbro Pulse. There's like a thing to like enter into a giveaway, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? If someone gives me one for free, it does look super cool, but I'm not paying like $500+ for it or whatever it costs. But yeah, no, there's that. They mentioned Deathsaurus and how they specifically, like they're going to do an update on him soon. And they also said that they are not yet going to be revealing a new HasLab thing. So they're waiting a little while on that, because it sounded like they're kind of busy with all the 40th anniversary stuff, which is fine. Although BMAC did say, like, in the future, that when that does get revealed, it's going to be pretty cool and Omega, which is like, oh, okay. And there was like a little look on Evan's face there, like, I can't believe you just said that. Because, like, there's like two things that could be. And yeah, for the 40th anniversary, let's see, that could be either a Omega Supreme or referencing the Omega lock, I think this is the more likely one. It could be that they're doing a like Cybertron that turns into Primus, which is the only Primus toy that we've gotten before is that Transformers Cybertron toy, and that would be pretty cool. I can't I'm not gonna get if they do a Primus that turns into Cybertron. It would have to be really good for me to, go in on that again. Like Unicron was kind of like a one-time thing for me. I cannot be making a habit of getting like 600 plus HasLab products. So it would have been nice to see some more stuff about Death Stars. Obviously, it would have been nice to get some reveal there or some tease, which I guess we kind of did about a new HasLab. But yeah, no, that's just speculation for the future. But I think that Primus is a pretty safe bet because we've got stuff like the Titan class for doing Omega Supreme, and that Titan class one from Siege is already pretty good. I don't know how much you could do better than that. So probably going to be Primus. But yeah, speaking of speculation, I guess the only other thing to talk about, I mean, they did other things like they did the fan polls and stuff like that. I'm just kind of talking about the toys on this channel, so that stuff was all cool to see. But getting into the poster, which they actually started off with, now they've kind of showed us an edited version of this poster that's a little bit more zoomed in. So almost everything on the poster is just like the figures that they just revealed to us. So we've got Tigerhawk and the animated Bumblebee and Optimus and like the Rock Lord guys, or Rock whatever guys, etc. But there are two things on here that definitely I think are worth talking about, because right smack dab in the middle of the poster, this was probably the thing I was most excited about during the entire like reveal, and all of these toys look great, so that's saying something. They've got art of Magmatron. I'm so excited. Magmatron from Beast Wars Neo, who was also released in Beast Machines, has been a toy that I've really wanted for a long time. This has been kind of like a grail of mine. I don't use that term lightly because I think people kind of throw it around for like just things they really want. But Magmatron is always really difficult to find for a good price because it is the combination of three different figures, all of which have little parts that are easy to misplace. So it's like you really don't see Magmatron on like secondary sites for less than like $200 or something like that, or just like more than I'd want to pay for it, frankly. And getting a new one is a really exciting prospect because I've always really liked Magmatron's design. I've always wanted a Magmatron like figure just because like I really liked him in the what were those Beast Wars comics? The ones where Razor Beast was like the main character. I can't remember what those are called, but he was like the main villain of that, and then kind of wasn't really a villain by the end of it, but was a really compelling character, and it's just another cool Predacon boss. And I'd be really excited to get a new Magmatron figure, and I'm a little bit confused about what size class it's going to be because like. We also have the other one that's a real reveal, which I don't want to sweep over because this is also exciting, is Tidal Wave shows up. And Tidal Wave I was a little bit less, like immediately excited about because like it kind of felt like a foregone conclusion that they would be doing a Tidal Wave since, we got our Armada Megatron, which has tooling to combine with something. So like it seemed obvious that they were going to be doing a Tidal Wave, but I'm really confused about what size classes these are going to be because I assumed that that Tidal Wave was going to be our commander class for next year, and they only do one commander and one Titan for like each like line each year. And I'm not sure that they could really do Magmatron in like a leader class scale. It sort of feels like it might have to be a commander just because of like the three separate things that are combining. Maybe they can do it leader class, but at the same time, like when we look at Legacy Evolution, our poster for that year, we had the big Decepticon logo in the middle of it, which I guess could be Tarn, but I think that was kind of ultimately ended up being the Nemesis, like the Titan class, the Nemesis. So like it sort of seems like they would be putting the Titan class thing in the middle, and like I don't know, I do not really see how they could be doing Magmatron as a Titan class unless it like had other figures with it that were like included to make it like a box set or something. But that doesn't seem like the route that they would go. So it must be that they're just that either Tidal Wave is a leader, which I think would be kind of a shame, or Magmatron is a leader, because unless they are doing both of them as commander classes, but I think they're more likely to be able to do Magmatron as a good leader rather than Tidal Wave, because Tidal Wave really has to be kind of big to work properly. But I guess we'll see. Maybe that's just the way it worked out with combining with Megatron, is that he'd have to be a little bit smaller. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully that's the case, that Magmatron's the leader and Tidal Wave is the commander. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, because I'm a little bit confused by that. I don't know that they would really do a commander class Magmatron, just because like it's obscure enough that I feel like not enough people would impulse buy that at a commander price point. So it's probably that he's going to be a leader, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the reveals. Honestly, every single thing that they revealed today looks like super good. And like I really like that animated Optimus and animated Bumblebee, but those are probably going to be the two that I pass on. Just because gotta pick and choose somewhere. I feel like I've been going a little bit too all in on everything. Oh, they also talked about, again, this is not really news, really. They talked about the PulseCon exclusive, which is actually that the Powerlinx Hotshot. Powerlinx? I don't remember what the red version of Hotshot from Armada, which comes with, interestingly, the orange version of Jolt, which is a little bit sneaky of them, because the original like red version of Hotshot came with a yellow Jolt. So they're like, hey, if you want an orange Jolt to go with your Legacy Evolution Hotshot, you gotta buy this box set and buy a figure again that you might not necessarily want. And I'm ashamed to say that I think I'm kind of pushed into buying this. I'm gonna wait to see what the price is, because like I was like, no, I'm not buying that. I'm not going to buy a second version of my least favorite figure of the year. Like, no way. But God, that Jolt just looks so good. And honestly, I've got a lot of love for the red version of Hotshot, just because that's the version I actually had as a kid. So I'll probably get it, unless it's like, over like Voyager price. Like if it's like $40 or up, like, I'll wait to see if I get it on sale. That's another one that they put as like a giveaway potential item. So maybe I'll just do that and wait to see if I, get the astronomical odds of winning a giveaway. Because if it was handed to me for free, sure, but I don't necessarily know I want to pay that much for it, because I don't really like that mold all that much. But that Jolt does look really good, so it's definitely pretty tempting. So we'll see, because they did also mention that one's not going to be a pre-order when it goes up today. It's just going to ship out pretty soon. So yeah, come next week, we'll get to see how much of a mark I am. But yeah, no, that really is pretty much everything. Again, all of this stuff looks really, really good. The ones I'm kind of ambivalent about is like, I probably am going to pass on the Energon Megatron for now, just because I don't necessarily need it. Probably going to pass on the animated stuff because I don't necessarily need it. Maybe minorly disappointed by Tasmanian Kid / Snarl, just because of the cheating in the chest, but otherwise looks good. The rock stuff, I keep wanting to just call them Rock Lords, but either way, both of them look fantastic. I'm really excited about those. I think Chase looks fantastic. Windblade looks fine, good enough. Probably the best Windblade we've gotten so far, which I feel like is kind of the case every time we get a new Windblade figure, but it always just feels a little bit like, I feel like we could do better though, right? Like, and yeah, no, Thundertron looks great. Tigerhawk is maybe the thing I'm most excited about out of all of this, just because, got only a couple characters left from the Beast Wars show that haven't really been filled in. It's pretty much, I mean, I guess not including the ones where I'm, satisfied with the original figures like Depth Charge and Rampage. I'm like, I don't need new versions of Depth Charge and Rampage. I think both of them look fine. According to the leaked listings, we are going to be getting a new Silverbolt, so that's the other one that I'd be really excited about. I don't necessarily need a new Quick Strike. So the last one left after this is pretty much Dinobot 2 is the one that I'd want to see. But yeah, no, this looks all really good. Excited about potential for Magmatron and Tidal Wave. But yeah, I think probably the winner of the toys today is either the Rock Lords or Tigerhawk. But yeah, that's enough rambling out of me. Thank you for watching through this video if you actually stuck through it the whole time. Pretty exciting stuff. I went not a whole lot shorter than the actual stream itself went. Thanks for watching the whole video if you made it this far. But yeah, usually I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, that was our coverage for the Transformers panel in 2023 Hasbro Pulse Con. Thanks for watching.